Whether you're picking and grinning or just grinning, grab a drink, pull up a seat. It's time for Roots Music Rambling. Turn it up. So we were just talking before we were going to hit record, and I heard a noise in the background at Frank's house, and it was her washer alert saying that the wash was done. And I identified that. And then I told Frank a pet peeve of mine is noises. I don't like noises.
You said you're allergic to noises.
I'm allergic,
which I appreciate because I totally identify.
Right, and then Frank apparently knows what that's called, which is what?
Misophonia.
So I looked up the definition of misophonia. It's a condition character. It's a condition, right? It's an actual scientific thing. It's a condition characterized by an intense dislike or hatred of specific sounds. These sounds can trigger strong negative emotions such as anger, anxiety, or disgust. And then I said, my ex-girlfriend didn't like the sound of me breathing, and chewing and generally being in the room, I think.
And existing.
Which is why she's my ex-girlfriend.
But
But she literally, I remember one time, I don't care if somebody tells her either, fucking tell her, I don't give a shit.
Oh my God.
I remember one time she told me, she literally said, can you chew softer? And I chew with my mouth closed. I'm not a heathen. I mean, not in that sense anyway. And
well, you're not a caveman.
Yeah, exactly. And I was, the example that came to mind was, I would look at her and say, I'm chewing with my mouth closed. I happen to be chewing potato chips. You want me to spit on them before I put them in my mouth? What the hell you want me to do? So anyway, that was, sorry, little trauma there I'm reliving for everyone on the podcast.
I mean, if you can't vent to your podcast partner and listeners, who's going to vent?
Yeah.
It's like, it's free therapy.
I'm sure somebody out there is going to fucking send this link to her and she's going to text me or call. No, she might. I can't text her. She blocked me. So anyway, whatever. I don't know.
But no one was identified. No names.
No, that's true. You don't know which ex it was, and I've got a few. So.
I don't know which ex.
Right? No, you don't. No, nor does anybody else. I'm sure my family member can guess. Family members can guess. Whatever. No, I'm allergic to noises. Like all the appliances in my house, I have muted, including my microwave. And if you need to know how to mute your microwave, hold down the 0 button for several seconds, and then a mute thing will pop up on your screen. And then even when you hit the keypad, it won't make any noise. And when it stops, its cycle of reheating whatever your thing is, it doesn't beep, it just turns off, which keeps me from having a conniption fit because I don't like noises. And God help you if you're in the room with me and your text messages, ba-ding, 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 I will throw your phone across the fucking road.
So do people still keep the alert sounds on?
Some people do.
Their phones?
Some people do, especially older people who don't know any better and probably can't hear anyway. But yeah, there are some people who do, and there are some people in my life who do. And I just kind of grit my teeth. And especially if they're not in my house, I don't feel like I have the right to tell them to do whatever.
Right.
I'm not rude, but they are. And I guess I just allow it for whatever reason because it drives me crazy. If you can't turn that thing on mute or vibrate or something to keep it from distracting me. Oh, it irritates me. If you're ever behind me at a movie theater and you want to piss me off, turn your fucking notifications on. I will punch you in the mouth. Oh my God.
Wow, Jason woke up today and shows violence.
I don't like being disturbed in movies anyway. So
well, I mean, people shouldn't be doing that shit in movie theaters anyway, but like if the ringer or whatever the alerts are on my phone, I am annoyed by my own phone, right? Like I quickly turn it off because I don't like to hear that.
Yeah, I don't either. And I in a similar vein, which is kind of ironic because my day job is in marketing and advertising.
Right.
I cannot stand pop-ups on websites. I cannot stand.
Oh yeah.
I can't stand if I'm on an app playing a game or something and an ad pops up. I lose my mind. I just no. Do not interrupt me. I was doing something.
And as a recovering blogger, I would not allow that on my own site because I hated it when I would encounter it on other people's sites. And if that happened, guess what? I'm clicking off.
Yeah.
I'm going to go read something else because that's just annoying. I know, you have to monetize and you need revenue and all that, but figure out a different way. Anyway, we are getting way off track.
We're way off track. We had something that we were going to talk about, and I guess we should get back to what we were going to talk about before we talk about our guests. And so I posed this question to Francesca, and I'm assuming she will pose it back to me. But based on your personality, Frank, and this is obviously your interpretation of your personality, not anybody else's. If you were a world-class musician in whatever the hell instrument you want to be a world-class musician in, and you could join any band and they would welcome you with open arms and you could be a full-time member of that band, based on your personality, what band would you join? It's a good one.
It is a good one, and it's so good. And it's too good because I can't even think of one.
Okay, I'll answer first then. Right?
Okay.
Give you a few more seconds here to think of an answer, because I was at the Unbroken Circle Music Festival this past weekend when we're recording this. And I remember thinking as this band was on stage, my answer, and it's current band, not a past band, because I'll tell you right now, if I was going to join a past band, one that's not active anymore, it would absolutely be the Bottle Rockets.
Oh yeah.
And my personality, for those people who know me well, know that I am I've got everything has to have a sense of humor about it. Everything's a little out in left field, a little off color. And the way that the Bottle Rocket songs are just written, they're funny. They're tongue in cheek. There's a humor mixed into them. Even the sad songs have these little threads of kind of a tongue in cheek thing with them. Totally aligns with my personality. And it's why the Bottle Rockets quickly became one of my favorite bands when I discovered them. Unfortunately, I discovered them too late. They weren't really touring anymore when I figured out who they were. But I was watching another band, a current band, at Unbroken Circle. And I thought, this is probably as close to the Bottle Rockets as we're going to get. And so my answer would be Silverado.
Okay. All right.
And similar thing, they have a sense of humor, kind of a country swagger in their thing. Not that I'm necessarily country, but they've got a tongue-in-cheek kind of approach to the world. They're fun. I like their music. They have some sad songs, but again, there's a sense of humor woven into it. So I would be in Silverado based on my personality, I think.
Yeah, I could see that.
Okay.
I think that would be a good fit. Well, how about this? Since I can't really come up with a solid answer, maybe we could do this together. Okay. Maybe you could help me out here. So I'm thinking, and I'm trying to, as you're talking, and I'm trying to come up with an idea of a band, like with really strong songwriters or a strong songwriter, because I am such a word nerd. And, like I remember my sister years ago making fun of me. We were out. She's like, when you dance, do you dance to the beat or to the words? And I'm like, for me, it's all about the words. Right. So, I would need to be in a band that had very good, strong lyrics and, sort of cerebral, intellectual, literary.
Interesting.
Yeah. But also, like, not stuck up and pretentious and like, yes, I'm Ivy League and I'm better than you are. Not that sort of thing.
All right. So I got a couple of suggestions.
All right.
One, I think generationally it's not a match, but I could see you aligning with Boy Genius.
Oh yeah, they're pretty badass.
The other one that comes to mind is I'm With Her. So Sarah Jaraz and Aoife Donovan and Sarah Watson. I always forget the third one's name. She's from Nickel Creek, I think. So I'm With Her band. Let me make sure that I get this right. Sarah Jaraz, Sarah Watkins, and Aoife Donovan. because they are three independently very powerful, intelligent women, great musicians, and then together it's just more brilliant that they're together.
Oh, I know. I got it.
Okay, go.
And I've talked about this band before. And as you're talking about I'm With Her, it hit me.
Before you say it, I'm going to predict it. I'm going to write it down and see if I get it. All right, tell us who it is.
Wait, how many words?
I'm not going to tell you. Tell me who's the band you think you'd be a good part of?
The Secret Sisters. Shut up!
That says the Secret Sisters right the hell there. I knew you were going to say that. There you go.
And not because I look like them. Like, we look like we could be related.
Yeah, you vaguely it's similar.
I mean, the dark hair, you know. But, yes, I would. And I mean, I love those gals. And they are just insanely talented and awesome songwriters, musicians. I can't sing to save my life, though. So I would just have to be playing the banjo in the background.
Okay. Can you at least do harmony? Can you at least like fill in?
I can. Yeah. That was, I was relegated to harmony when I would sing with my sister.
Well, don't feel bad because I've never been able to sing anything of any kind, any place. I think because I have a broadcast voice, I could fake being a harmonizer. I could fill some gaps, but you don't want to turn my mic up too loud. So I'm just not that good of a singer. Or at least I have no training. I just don't sing. The only time I ever sing is when I do karaoke, and I always rap. So I can rap because I can talk. And if I can talk in rhythm, then you can rap. So much drama in the LBC. It's got hard beats. Double G.
This just took a turn.
We're going off the chains. We need to
this
welcome
really took a turn.
So welcome to Roots Music Rambler. She's Frank.
And he's Falls.
And we're rambling on through the stories behind the music we love.
Emphasis on the rambling here. Okay. Oh, who are we talking to? Oh, yes. I'm all thrown off because you made me think. I had to use my brain so much there. All right. Well, today on the show, we are sitting in with the Last Revel. So they've been an indie folk rock mainstay out of Minneapolis, Minnesota for almost 15 years. They took a hiatus from one another in 2019, but came back after the pandemic with a successful album called Dovetail and released their latest LP, Gone for Good, earlier this year.
That's right. They're made up of four gentlemen now. Lee Henke on guitar, Ryan Acker on banjo. Those two founded the group in 2011. They were later joined by Vinny Donatella on the fiddle. And most recently, Ryan Krause on bass. Their sound is a nice mixture of bluegrass and folk with some rock and pop rhythms and sensibility. They don't sound like Mumford & Sons, but they're in that general direction, I think is what I would say.
Yeah, okay. And they're known for their harmonies, right? So they sound really good singing all together.
Very true. I was actually listening to a song of theirs today, and I just got this Ghost of Paul Revere vibe. We had Griffin Williams Sherry from Ghost of Paul Revere on the show not long ago, and their harmonies are outstanding. Well, the Last Revel gives off that same kind of magic. They're really, really great to listen to.
Absolutely. And we'll have fun talking to them about the upper Midwest bluegrass and folk scene, their new album, and a lot more.
And we'll have our Pickin the Grinnin segment at the end where we recommend great music to you.
And isn't this the point of the show where you need a refill?
Oh, yeah. I'm nothing if not predictable, right? So, yeah. It's getting low. I need more bourbon. All right. Stay tuned, y'all. We'll talk to the Last Revel when we come back. This is Roots Music Ramble.
Tried to paint you on canvas, but no one would understand it, 'cause there's no way to capture your spirit. Break a day, get fixed at night. You always say we're doing it right. Circumstances so romantic, so why are we so clumsy and manic? So electric, I can hardly stand it, but I see you through all of the static.
Welcome back to Roots Music Rambler. That is the latest single from the Last Revel. It's called Static. Such a good song, and their new album, Gone for Good, is full of them. Ryan Aker, Lee Henke, and Vinny Donatelli from the band are with us tonight on Roots Music Rambler. Gentlemen, thanks for hanging with us. How are you?
Doing great.
Yeah, doing all right. Better than I've ever been.
Well, that's impressive. We don't normally have that effect on people. I'm assuming that's not because of us, but that's okay. We're glad you're here and glad you're having a great time. Well, we got a lot of things we want to talk to you guys about, but I want to start with this album. It's called Gone for Good. It's been out for a couple months now. I think produced by Dave Simonett from Trampled by Turtles, which is impressive in and of itself. And Ryan, I read a quote from you somewhere that you felt like this album kind of elevated things for the group, right? And how so?
Yeah, I think this one was different for us because largely what we've recorded in the past has just been really DIY. We gather some microphones and an engineering buddy, and we go record. A couple of our records are from a family cabin in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, and we just kind of set up in the living room and record there. And this one was different because we actually hired a producer that we respect, and we actually went to a studio that's very legitimate, and the baseline logistics of it were already kind of elevated. And yeah, I think bringing in Dave from Trampled to produce it was really influential on the record because we've looked up to him for so long, and nobody wanted to show up to the studio with a bad song with Dave Simonett in the room. So I think the bar was set really high just right out the gate. And I think it shows on the record. I think, it's definitely kind of our most focused record, in my opinion.
Now, Lee, we know that you all took a hiatus in 2019 after almost a decade on the road. So what brought you all back from that? Because your album Dovetail came out when you came off hiatus, and it was very well received. So was the hiatus the break you needed for something else, or was something else a trigger for you?
I definitely burned out. Was the reason for the hiatus in the first place, and instead of just owning it and accepting it, I blamed everybody else. And I think in the amount of time that we were apart, about 4 years, I had a lot of realizations, not just that, but knowing that I had apologies to give and that I missed my friends a lot was a big one. I won't go into the details on how I came to those ideas, but it was definitely recreational. But it, yeah, I missed them, and I was talking about them a lot in therapy, and got a little extra nudge from her to call them and, say the apologies I needed to say and say I missed them. And then when we got back together, there was no formal intention of playing music again. It was just to, restore the friendship. And then very quickly after we got back together, we were like, we should definitely do that again. So and I listen to Dovetail now and I can't help but smile. That's probably the happiest record I feel like we've made. There's half of the tracks, there's laughter in them. And we were just at the cabin drinking beers and fishing and recording music together. So it really felt like a homecoming of sorts. And then this one, yeah, I agree with Ryan. We focused in on this one.
Very good. Well, we're certainly glad you guys got through that time period and feel good about the future of the band. Y'all not playing would certainly be a shame. So One of the things that I think makes your all's music stand out so much is your harmonies. The 3 or 4 man combination just stands out in a lot of your songs. I was listening to Rainy Day Girl in the car today, and that's on Dovetail, your previous album. And I kept thinking, as I was listening to it, I kept thinking, man, this sounds a little bit like the Ghost of Paul Revere. We had Griffin Williams Sherry on the show a while back, and their harmonies are just fabulous. Yours are just as good, but also different enough that if you have a good ear, you can tell the difference. So, Vinny, I'm curious if there are groups like that you either hear or borrow ideas from or want to sound like. I think it's one thing to be influenced by a group and kind of aspire to be like them, but it's another to hear and go, ooh, we need to do that or we need to try that. Who do you guys listen to and get ideas from?
Well, first off, it's funny that you mentioned Ghost of Paul Revere, but I adore those guys. Love Griffin. But the first time I played that song, I was just trying it out with my kind of solo project at a venue in Minneapolis. And someone came up to me after the show and was like, man, I love your Ghost of Paul Revere cover. It's like, oh, no, thanks. But that was my song, actually.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, so you're definitely not the only one to hear that song in particular. When I wrote that song, though, I don't think there was a conscious effort of like, ooh, I love what the Ghost of Paul Revere was doing. I want to take a sample from that playbook. But yeah, that's specifically where that came from. I don't think that. I don't know that there's really any specific bands that we've listened to through our collaborative writing process that we're like, we got to jump onto that specific framework of how to write a song. I think that we've always really respected Gillian Welch and Dave Rollins.
Oh yeah.
And all the greats, but yeah, I don't know. I think kind of the fun thing about what we do collaboratively is it's kind of hard to pin down. And I think that we kind of noticed that pretty early on and tried to protect it to some extent.
Ryan, Lee, you guys have some thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think the harmonies thing came from all of us wanting to be lead singers. And then everybody just insisting that we're all singing all the time. I think that's where it came from. No, through high school and college, I was really into the Avett Brothers, who have like really strong male harmonies, and I really appreciated them when I was younger. I think bands like Double Makes Three and their harmonies. I think it's just when people all sing together, man. It's just something it just elevates. It's that kind of that extra band member. You're not entirely sure what's going on, but when you feel it and hear it.
I definitely thought, the first time I heard Vinny sing, I was like, that's a cool voice. And Ryan, you and I learned how to sing in college together in a first course, like it was called Aural Skills. And we, which is a weird first class for freshmen.
Not what I expected.
You had to just stand and sing there in front of everybody, like look at music and sing. And I had never done that before, and I almost failed that course. That's the hardest I've ever tried at anything, was trying to learn how to sing notes. And Ryan was like nailing it. He would just stand up and sing, and I was like, damn it, I got to figure out how to do this. And I remember thinking, like, man, if we could put together a band where our 3 very, very different voices harmonized, I think it would sound really unique. I remember having that thought. And the first time that, we all yelled a harmony together, I was like, oh, there's something magic in there.
Very cool.
Yeah, I think on that note too, I think that there's always just been something about just like not just hitting the note in our harmonies, but just like screaming with your friends is just
Therapeutic.
It's an irreplaceable feeling.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Nice. Nice. So, okay, Ryan, we'll go back to you now for the song Go On from the new album. The song itself has a pretty interesting backstory and is a blistering jam of a song. So can you tell us where that all came from?
Yeah, I started kind of writing the verses to that song in the fall of 2023 outside of Livingston, Montana. I was doing some mule deer hunting. I was out there solo. And it was a really long, very cold day. And right at the end of the day, I ended up seeing this mule deer buck kind of chasing a bunch of other deer around. And he had one of his antlers broken off. And I ended up taking him that day and ended up packing him out myself that night in the dark. And I started some of the verses that started to kind of come to me that night while I was walking, and I kind of jotted notes down on my phone and stuff like that. And I couldn't help but like focus on like kind of the parallels of like this like wild animal just like so possessed that he would like break a part of himself off. And it was just like a really primal evening. And I just felt like very in tune with the subconscious, and like all these kind of emotions were coming up and stuff like that. So yeah, that's where like kind of the seeds of that song kind of started. And I brought it to Lee, and I didn't necessarily entirely like nail on the head explain what I was writing about at first. And just, kind of our intuitive knee-jerk reaction was to just kind of make it more about like a failed relationship kind of thing. And yeah, when Lee added his vocals and he added the third verse and we worked out the chorus together and stuff like that, I think it really kind of like it fits the emotional sentiment I was reaching for without being so overt or obvious. Yeah, it's one of my favorite tracks on the record. It was definitely super fun to record live because it's just so damn fast. It might be the fastest song we've ever recorded. So yeah, it's just fun when you're just like, you're just sweating bullets in the studio trying to play as fast as you can and sing as fast as you can and stuff. And yeah, to me, it's a highlight on the record.
You guys ready to play that damn thing live night after night
for the rest of our lives, man?
Yeah, hopefully.
That was actually something Dave said. Besides, he was like, "Don't overthink a punk song," because we were trying to arrange it, and he was like, "Just go for it, man. Just keep." And I think that was like the third take, and that was like about as much as we could do. We were exhausted. And then we got done, and he was like, "That's the take. That's the good one." And he's like, "You'll regret it. You'll regret it."
Well, he probably would know.
Yeah.
Probably know a thing or two about that.
Yeah.
Well, I definitely think blistering is a good word to use to describe that song. Go On. Let's let folks hear it and judge for themselves as we head to a quick break. Here's the Last Revel with Go On Roots Music Rambler.
See it all so clearly now, like steeple on a plane. In the morning she gets hummingbirds, in the evening I get rain. Went up and down the mountain like I had some left to prove. Oh, the twilight fighter, she had broken me in two. Haunted by the ghosts I'm chasing, shadow in the night. She found a light but couldn't share it. I hear empty bells of winter, I hear prayers you can't forget her. Cutthroat blood red morning makes the darkness seem to lift. But you're gone, and it's not easy solid gone. And it's not easy,
Welcome back to Roots Music Rambler. There's Solid Gone from the Last Revel and their new album, Gone for Good. The group has been out there burning up the road for 15 years or so with a break or two here in between. Indie band. They call you folk rock, which is, I guess, appropriate, but you have a solid bluegrass connection too. And so now I'm going to show my ignorance, which I often do on this show. Cause I start drinking before we ever record, but anyway, but the ignorance that I'm going to show in this question is, something that often frustrates me when people ask me about Eastern Kentucky, where I'm from. But when I think of Minneapolis, Minnesota, I don't immediately go bluegrass. So where do each of you get those influences?
Honestly, it was the scene that we discovered when we were starting to play music together. Like, I remember seeing Trampled by Turtles. It was just like me and Ryan at this tiny bar in Mankato, and then it was like maybe 5 or 6 other people, and I think they were family members of the band or something. It was like really personal, and seeing them play just kind of shook me. I was like, wow, this is crazy. I didn't know you could do that. I didn't know you could sit there and play those instruments and do that. And then, there was Pert Near Sandstone and Charlie Parr, and there's a bunch of musicians from that time period in Minneapolis that I think were a huge influence on us to just, play that style of music. And I think I was at least burned out. We were trying to do like a blues rock thing. And I kept trying to turn these acoustic songs into something else. Like, I was writing them on acoustic, and I was like, why do we keep changing it? So we just kind of stripped it down a little more.
Ryan, what about you?
Yeah, that's a good explanation. I'd say, I think growing up, I definitely didn't listen to like traditional bluegrass when I was younger. And I think a lot of influences I drew from when I was younger were kind of like these like roots music adjacent. And I think that's something that the upper Midwest definitely has a long history in. Bob Dylan being from there, and like Spider John Corner, who's from Minneapolis. And yeah, bands Lee mentioned and stuff like that. I think there's kind of like a songwriter roots element to the upper Midwest that I think we kind of like latched onto and kind of like found a home in really quickly. It's like, yes, we're playing these bluegrass instruments, but we're trying to kind of they're just vehicles for the song at this point. And through the years, I think it's been fun to kind of like explore the instrumentation kind of on our own way, where it's like, I think a traditional bluegrass fan would listen to our band and be like, that's definitely not bluegrass. And I think, and we agree with them. We're not trying to be like a traditional bluegrass band. We never set out to be that. So I think it's kind of interesting to kind of like be a band kind of in the fringes of these genres, while the genres themselves are kind of like devolving and like the walls are coming down in a way where it's like, genre, you can be whatever you want now. It doesn't really matter. Yeah. You know what I mean? There's a lot of people who think Billy Strings isn't bluegrass, but a lot of people think Billy Strings is bluegrass. So I don't know what to tell you. It's kind of everything all at once.
That's true. Well, that's Americana, right?
Yeah.
It's the gaps. It's the gaps in between the genres, and so you can take from everything, which I love. Now, Ryan, have you always played banjo? When did you pick that up?
I picked it up when this band started.
Interesting.
Yeah, I grew up playing guitar. Yeah, and I studied classical guitar in college and stuff like that. And then the band got going, and it was very obvious Lee was not going to switch from playing guitar, so I had to choose something else. And banjo just kind of made sense because I had that like finger style guitar background. So I just I figured let's try this. It's almost like a guitar, at least it has frets and strings. So yeah, that's kind of where I got started on it. And I fell in love with it really quickly. I sometimes pinch myself that I play banjo and make a living doing it. But here I am. So
there you go. And Vinny, you play the fiddle. Have you always played the fiddle? Did you pick that up? recently, or was it
No,
earlier?
I grew up playing the fiddle. When the band got together, I started playing the upright bass. Um, and I would switch back and forth. Which that's funny. I didn't quite realize that was the timeline for you, Ryan, for through all these years.
Yeah.
You learned something about a bandmate on our show. That's never
Yeah.
happened before.
Yeah, there's a lot of new instrument learning going around. I know that Lee, you kind of played around with the mandolin a little bit, and you did.
Oh, no, I was playing
touch when we were first getting started.
Yeah, I had a tenor banjo that I loved, but it was like we had another member who definitely wasn't giving up guitar at the time. And I had this tenor banjo. I don't know why I bought it, but I thought it would look cool or something. And I tried playing that, and that was, one banjo is too many banjos for a band, I think. But a tenor banjo and the other banjo, I was like, oh my God. So yeah, after we lost that fourth member pretty early on, I jumped on guitar before Ryan could snag it for sure.
Anyways, I did play. I did get started playing the fiddle when I was really young. And on the note of like bluegrass background and stuff in Minnesota, I feel like there are a lot of different. I mean, it's not Eastern Kentucky, where there's a pretty rich cultural tradition of bluegrass, but in any violin circles around at least where I was learning how to play violin, even in the classical context, you're still also learning traditional bluegrass tunes, or like very early on, because that's just the way that a lot of the different curriculums are taught. And going to fiddle camp too, and included, which was for me more classical oriented stuff, but it was still including workshops of learning how to do bluegrass technique. So that was kind of like my introduction history with bluegrass playing in violin in the context.
So did you all grow up together, or did you meet in high school, college? What's the story there?
We met in college. I met Ryan. He was playing guitar down the hall in the dorms. This is like the first days. We hadn't even gone to class yet. And I wandered down the hallway because it sounded so good. And I was like, oh my God, dude, it sounds awesome. And Ryan was like, who is this weirdo? This is strange. But we kind of hit it off right away, and then like started playing music together right away. And then we transferred to Mankato, Minnesota, because they had a music industry program there that was like a little more what we thought we were going for, and that turned out to be not awesome either. But that's where we met Vinny. Vinny was dancing in a bar with a mohawk when I met him. And I was like, I gotta know this guy. We gotta know this guy. So it was it was pretty quick to be friends, but all in college we met.
And then how did the band then come together?
That's a good question. There was a lot of alcohol involved, I feel like. Ryan, do you remember why we decided to do this?
No.
I don't either. It just
I think it was like Lee and I were in kind of these blues rock, indie rock bands, like electric guitars and drums and stuff, and it didn't work out with the bass player. It didn't work out with the drummer, and Lee and I were still living together in we rented an apartment together and stuff like that, and we were always writing and playing and stuff like that on acoustic guitars, kind of like he was mentioning earlier. And I think it was and this is, very recently after we saw Trampled play, and we're like, oh man, wouldn't it be cool to just kind of just do this? And I think that's kind of how the seed was planted, the origin story. And then it kind of really snowballed really quickly. We met Vinny and started playing some open mics with some of the songs that Lee and I had written and arranged, but kind of doing them more in the style we play now, and a couple covers and stuff like that. And yeah, these open mics, we would do them every Thursday, and we were kind of like really surprised people would like show up to the open mics just to see us, and that's the first time I think any of us have ever experienced anything like that before. Versus like just playing at a bar and there just happens to be people there.
Yeah.
People are actually there for us, even if it was just a little bit, just like that little spark is all it really took for us to be like, oh, like where else can we go play? And, once we got going on that, we just kind of made these concentric circles from our home in Minnesota, and we play in Iowa and Wisconsin and Michigan and stuff like that. And, we just worked that Midwest circuit for so long. And fortunately, like there's such a healthy bar scene in the Midwest that like there's a lot of places to play if you have your own PA system. So like, like have PA will travel. So like that's what we did a lot for the first couple of years. It's like, I joke, but it's like almost kind of serious. Like only recently do I feel like we graduated from a bar band.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Where it's like, oh, now we're like actually playing venues and tickets and stuff like that. And I know it's been like a long time coming, but there's a part of me that still feels like that little kid,
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. It's that origin story just never seems to leave you.
That's good. I love the term healthy bar scene as a way to describe the Midwest as being full of alcoholics.
Yeah.
I will neither confirm
functioning.
nor deny.
Yeah.
As a Midwesterner myself.
Functioning, you can throw that on there. That's fine. Functioning.
Dude, high functioning is high functioning. I don't care what you're dealing with. Just
that's a good point. That's a very good point. All right, so Lee, I'll ask you this question, and then obviously Vinny, you and Ryan can jump in as well. But I've got to think, since Trampled was such a benchmark event for this band starting, it's got to be surreal to have gone into the studio with Dave Simonett and recorded an album with him. Was that just like pinching yourself all over the place, or had you guys developed a relationship over the years? How did that all come about?
I think, we had bumped into Dave throughout playing over the years a few different times. And it was honestly, I was so nervous around Dave that I would like drop my beer. I did that in their green room. That was a really good move. Just shattered all over the floor. I was like, good show, Dave.
Minnesota.
Yeah, it was pretty embarrassing. But then, yeah, we just kept, bumping into each other a little bit. And then when we asked him to do the record, we were still on those, like, I got to impress this guy kind of terms, or at least I was like, and what's weirder now is like, now when we see Dave, he's like, you guys want to come grab a beer? Like, what's going on? Blah, blah, blah. And it's like incredibly friendly. I would call Dave a friend now. And that's crazier to me than being like, hey, we'll pay you a bunch of money to hang out with us. Like, I don't blame him for that at all. But he made us make the best record we've ever made. And to have him as a friend is just the, cherry on top for us right now. So.
Yeah, I mean, that's very much the story. That it was crazy to be able to work with him. I've been admiring his work for so long, and then just like Lee said, I think it's even crazier that it's like, oh, we're just hanging out when we bump into each other. Sweet.
So I know you guys are on tour through the beginning of November, and Chicago is on the list there. So I'm going to do my best to get out to Garcia's to see you guys. And you're going to make your way to Kentucky, so Jason can go see y'all. So where do you enjoy playing the most? Is it back home in Minnesota or elsewhere? What's on the horizon for the band? And if you can see past this tour at all?
I think there's something really special going back to like some of these towns that we played from the very beginning, like Madison and Minneapolis and like Duluth, Minnesota and Milwaukee, like kind of some of these like home bases for us for a long time, where we have 15 years of history playing there. And like the crowds, there's something that's been kind of like really surreal and special lately with some of these hometown crowds, is like they sing so loud that like it's louder than the band can play. And I mean there's no other way to, like, you can't even like come close to like feeling that way in life otherwise. It's just the coolest feeling. And it's like this full circle kind of moment where like the songs you wrote that long ago mean things to people in like this layered way that you, like, as a writer, you can't even comprehend. So like to go home to a place where you have so much history and feel that, I mean, there's no better feeling in the world.
That's cool. So I know y'all are playing at the Burl in November. That's definitely a calendar circle for me there in Lexington, Kentucky. Such a great venue. If folks at other towns want to find out where they can see or hear more music, learn more about the band and all that good stuff, where can they find y'all on them there interwebs?
All of
Last Revel, yeah, the lastrevel.com. You can go to Google and type in the Last Revel. That usually does it too. Otherwise, you could just ask Siri. I think Siri does a good job now too. But yeah, we got a website with all the dates. But yeah, if you find us on TikTok, there's some really weird stuff on there. That's where we get weird.
Unhinged stuff goes.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we're definitely going to put links to the TikTok and everything else in the show notes as well. So Lee, Ryan, Vinny, thank you guys so much. We're really excited for the new album. Can't wait to see you guys live. Really appreciate you guys hanging out with us tonight.
Oh,
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Hey, the Pickin the Grinnin segment is coming up next, but let's go out with Until Death from the new album from the Last Revel. This is Roots Music Ramble.
You could say I was stuck knee deep in the mud. Somewhere off of Cokedale, I was praying for a flood. Cleaned up all the season, stacked all the wood. Just 'cause I'm leaving, don't mean I'm gone for good. So if half the world is lying and the rest don't know the truth, until then, I will live for you. Until then, I will
Welcome back to Roots Music Rambler. Fun stuff there from a great band, The Last Revel. The harmonies will get you. Go listen to their stuff if you haven't already. Good stuff. Their new album is really good. They've even got a couple of featured artists or guest harmonizers, and there's some female voices in there as well on a couple of songs. So just really good, pleasant sounding stuff. Good. Throw that in the car next time you're driving around. Guaranteed to have a good time. So good to have those. Good to have them boys on them there show from up there in that Minneapolis. That's where we are.
Have you had too much bourbon?
Maybe. I'm not going to say one thing or another because then I'll get a call from the lawyer. Where it's time for the Pickin the Grinnin segment. Who's making us grin? This is where Frank and I pick out music. Might be a song, might be an album, might be a band, might be a soundtrack. Could be anything that we've been listening to in the last week or so that's making us grin. And I don't remember who went first last time, so I'm just going to be selfish and go first this time.
Fine.
Because as I told everyone earlier in the show, I believe my memory's getting a little sketchy at this point. I spent the weekend, as we're recording this, I spent the last weekend at the Unbroken Circle Music Festival in Madison, Indiana. fantastic little town, fantastic event. Just can't say enough about how good it was. I've had 2 really great back-to-back weekends, Manchester Music Fest and then Unbroken Circle. Anyway, I got the chance to finally see and listen to a lot of the catalog of one Vincent Neil Emerson. And I think my social media post that I put out there with my video that I did of him, which I posted on TikTok and Instagram, and I posted some still pictures and whatnot on Facebook as well. If you're interested in going there, I'm Jason Falls all over the socials. But my headline with Vincent Neil Emerson was, now this is real country. Because he reminded me of George Jones, old school country, Buck Owens, get up there with a cowboy hat and a guitar and just play good old sappy country songs. And his songs are good. He's got one that's it's called Willie Nelson's Wall. And the first line is, I'm as high as a fly on Willie Nelson's wall. So there's some really good, clever lyrics baked in there. Vincent Neil Emerson, he's from Texas, dyed in the wool, Texas, cowboy picker and great guitar player. And just really laid back. I did have a chance to, walk up and say hi to him and handed him my Roots Music Rambler card. And so hopefully we'll get him on the show at some point. But Vincent Neil Emerson, just good old-fashioned country sound. If you like good 60s and 70s country music, you're going to like this kid. And go check him out. He's really, really good. There you go.
Awesome.
All right, Frank,
awesome.
What you got in your Pickin that Grinnin there segment?
Well, first, I have a question. Didn't Leon Meitzen tour with him not that long ago?
I don't know. Maybe. He probably. Leon's been out there touring with just about everybody. So.
I know. But I'm pretty sure. I'll have to go back and double check that.
Okay.
Unless somebody else gets to it before I do. Okay. So my pick is a result of being at a music festival all weekend as well. Jason was at Unbroken Circle in Madison, Indiana, and I was at the Evanston Folk Festival in Evanston, Illinois. And you probably remember that I attended last year as well. That was the inaugural event, and I hopefully it's becoming an annual thing because it still was really enjoyable, very chill. There were more people this year, and that's okay. But I discovered a lot of new, to me, artists and bands, and one of them, the name, like the band itself, is not new to me, but really sitting and listening to it was a new experience for me. And that band is Bonnie Light Horseman. And, I've seen the name, heard the name. My friend Lindsay really liked them. She went to see them. And I know I listened to them before, and I'm not real sure why I didn't get back into it. And there was also some confusion because I thought that the band Bonnie Light Horseman and the artist known as Bonnie Prince Billy were somehow connected, the same.
I don't think so.
And I got all sorts of confused. Right. So 2 totally separate entities. But Bonnie Light Horseman is a trio. And as they were introduced yesterday at Evanston Folk Fest, they were called a super group. And once you hear the names, unless you already know who is in the group, you may recognize them. So Anais Mitchell, Eric D. Johnson, and Josh Kaufman are like the main, like the core trio. And oh my goodness, I was like, they blew me away. I really enjoyed their presence. I enjoyed their music. They made some jokes because there were some technical difficulties. So I was with another friend of mine and Lindsay's, our friend Laura, and she really likes Bonnie Light Horseman as well. And I told her, I said, next time they come to town, you want to go, I'll definitely go with you. So I highly recommend checking them out.
Very nice. I like it. And for the record, Bonnie Prince Billy is an alias of Will Oldham, who is from the
right.
So there you go.
Oh, that I didn't know, but yeah, I mean, come on, dude, pick a name because I'm way too confused.
And artists they do their thing, I don't understand some of it. I don't understand a lot of it, but But you know what? If you want to release an album as Johnny Blue Skies, then go freaking dear. All right. Just make sure that we can come see you in concert and buy the album and all that stuff. That's all I ask. Let us listen. Just don't do something artistically that prevents us from listening to the shit. That would be stupid. But
Sure.
I need a drink. All right. Or I need to go to bed, probably is more accurate. So, all right. Bonnie Light Horseman and Vincent Neil Emerson. And I did look it up. Leon Meitzen toured briefly with Vincent Neil Emerson last fall. They actually played the Whirling Tiger here in Louisville, the Basement in Nashville, a couple other places. I was not able to go to that show. I think I was out of town when Leon came through. So I would have seen Vincent Neil Emerson sooner had I paid closer attention, but I didn't. But now I'm glad I did. And so hopefully you will go out and not miss the opportunity to hear either one of those artists there because you listened to the Pickin the Grinnin segment on Roots Music Grammar. How about that?
Yeah.
All right. I think that's the end of the show. It's probably the end of me being coherent, so we should wrap this shit up. Roots Music Rambler is a production of Falls and Partners, copyright 2025. Our theme music is Sheepskin and Beeswax by Genta Corum. Join us online at rootsmusicrambler.com. And make sure you mash that subscribe button so you remember to join us for the next Hoedown and Throwdown. She's Frank.
And he's Falls.
And whatever you do, kids, ramble on.